Okay, once again, it's Nick Dutch here yet again. If you haven't seen all the previous videos in this little series, watch them so that this one will make much more sense. We're going through the website debunkingskeptics.com/page2.htm, and we're reading through the rest of it, okay? And this is continuing from the extrasensory perception type subjects within the argument of about extraordinary evidence for phenomenon, basically what that means, within the subheading of extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Of course, not all skeptics are all that close-minded. Just reset my stopwatch so I can time the video. Okay. Of course, not all skeptics are that close-minded, but this gives you an idea of the mentality of close-minded skeptics. I'm not saying that we should only pay attention to the successes and ignore the failures either, but that we should take them both into account. And when we do so, there is in fact strong, consistent evidence that psi exists, from both scientific experiments and overwhelming anecdotal evidence. As studies show, most of the world has experienced ESP. It is possible, of course, that some scientists skew the psi results because they are eager to find evidence for psi, but why do skeptics automatically assume that it must be that? Obviously it is because of their preconceived beliefs, which they will not admit. If ESP and telepathy exist, it does not mean that it has to be controllable at our beck and call like some raw energy. We have only begun to scratch the outskirts on the nature of the whole thing anyway. Besides experiments, countless accounts of psychic experiences abound, both documented and undocumented. In fact, studies show that about 2/3 of Americans claim to have had psychic experiences, making them quite common rather than extraordinary. And he then cites a section here, which says, in their biennial report on the state of science understanding released in April 2002, the National Science Foundation found that 60% of adults in the United States agreed or strongly agreed that some people possess psychic powers or extraordinary perception, ESP. In June of 2002, the Consumer Analysis Group conducted the most extensive survey ever done in the United Kingdom and revealed, that 67% of adults believed in psychic powers. Report author Jan Walsh, commentating on the statistics that found that 2 out of 3 surveyed believed in the afterlife, says that as far as the British public was concerned, the supernatural world isn't so paranormal after all. Think about it. The most common type of psychic experience is telepathy, such as when a loved one and close friends from vast distances apart know at the exact time when something traumatic has happened to the other. Sometimes every detail of the traumatic event is observed or felt from afar. They are extremely powerful personal proof. I have had a few of these kind myself. Often what was suddenly felt out of nowhere about what happened to the lover is later verified to be true, occurring at exactly the time it was dreamt or felt. This suggests some subconscious telepathic link between people who are close. Experiences of this kind are in fact very common. Skeptics, of course, say these kinds of things are nothing but pure coincidence, but this is unsubstantiated and a rush to judgments. They don't just realize that just because something happens they can't understand doesn't mean that it must be coincidence or chance. In the same manner, if someone spoke Spanish and I didn't, that doesn't mean that the person speaking Spanish is speaking random gibberish. If someone living in a tribe in Africa saw me turning channels with my remote and didn't understand how remote controls work, that doesn't mean to say that me pushing buttons on a remote and the channels changing are just coincidence. Alright, mystical experiences. And what about mystical experiences? Spiritual enlightenment, being born again, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. These can also be said by those who experience them to be extraordinary evidence as well, because they are often self-authenticating and life-changing in themselves. In 1994, New Grodia Multimedia Encyclopedia states under mysticism, mysticism in general refers to a direct and immediate experience of the sacred or the knowledge derived from such an experience. First, the experience is immediate and overwhelming, divorced from the common experience of reality. Second, the experience or the knowledge imparted by it is felt to be self-authenticating without need of further evidence or justification. Finally, it is held to be ineffable. Its essence incapable of being expressed or understood outside of experience itself. The experience itself is always of an absolute that transcends the human efforts or methods of achieving it. New Grodia Multimedia Encyclopedia, 1994. Experiencers will describe these experiences not as faith-based but as an inner knowing. The fact that these types of experiences are dramatically life-changing makes them extraordinary evidence themselves, simply because extraordinary experiences don't alter people's lives in this way. To say that these self-authenticating, life-changing experiences are just pure imagination is closed-minded, to say the least. As faith-based practitioner of Shakti Gaivism, whatever the hell that is, and one who has an all-pervasive cosmic transcendental experiences of God in unity state, constantly remind us on my email group. But remember, there is belief, chosen activity of mind, and then there's actual knowing via direct experience. They are two different things. I could never accept a chosen belief. That is why I was an agnostic. I like the example of the person working on an inner child with no windows. A co-worker could come in and tell me that it's raining out. If they accepted that as truth, as only a chosen belief, that's only a chosen belief. But if they were to go outside themselves and stand in the driving rain and get soaking wet, then that is no longer a chosen belief. That would qualify as actual knowing or direct experience. Your mind is limited, but you are far greater than your mind. You are all that is, you just cannot see it yet. Mind keeps you contracted, but you can go beyond individual mind and tap the all-knowing. The only way you can know this is by experiencing it. I'm not talking about belief here, but by direct experience. If you were to accept what I say here, that would be belief. No good in my book or yours is either, I am sure. So I will not be disappointed if you do not accept what I say. On the other hand, you cannot really know that what I say is really illogical babble either. I think the fairest thing to do is stay open to the possibilities, that there are things beyond the scope of science, things you call current logic-based mind has not been exposed to, but that are nonetheless possible. Okay. Again, I'll stop this. I'll start another video, which will be the final video of the actual analysis, of the actual text. And then we'll do a summary. Just a moment, please.